Welcome back to the channel True Believers of Jesus. I see we have a few new subscribers. Thanks so much for subscribing to our channel. Here is a short story about Prophet Elijah. Let's get into the story now. In the days when Ahab was king of Israel, there lived a prophet named Elijah. Ahab had married a woman named Jezebel, who worshipped foreign gods and led the people of Israel away from the worship of the one true God. Elijah was a bold and fearless prophet who spoke out against Ahab and Jezebel. He warned them of the consequences of their actions and called on the people of Israel to turn back to God. One day, Elijah confronted Ahab and challenged him to a test of faith. He told Ahab to gather all the prophets of the false god Baal at Mount Carmel, along with the people of Israel. There, Elijah would prove that the God of Israel was the true God. At Mount Carmel, Elijah set up a test. He built an altar and placed a sacrifice on it. The prophets of Baal did the same. Then, Elijah told them to call on their God to send fire to consume the sacrifice. The prophets of Baal cried out and danced around their altar, but nothing happened. He then asked for water to be poured over the offering until the trench was filled. Elijah then called on the name of the Lord, and fire fell from heaven, consuming the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and even licking up the water in the trench. The people of Israel fell prostrate and cried, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." After this display of God's power, Elijah prayed for rain to end a severe drought in the land. He went to the top of Mount Carmel, bent down to the ground, and put his face between his knees. He told his servant to go and look toward the sea for rain. The servant returned and said he saw nothing. Elijah prayed again, and the servant went 7 times. On the 7th time, the servant reported seeing a small cloud, the size of a man's hand, rising from the sea. Elijah knew this was the sign of rain. Elijah told Ahab to go quickly to Jezreel before the rain stopped him. Then, the power of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he ran ahead of Ahab's chariot all the way to Jezreel. Elijah's boldness and faith in God's power are remembered in the Bible as a testament to the strength and courage of the prophets of old. After the events at Mount Carmel, Queen Jezebel, angered by the defeat of her prophets, threatened to kill Elijah. Fearing for his life, Elijah fled into the wilderness. Exhausted and discouraged, he prayed to God, asking to die. Instead of granting his request, God sent an angel to provide him with food and water, strengthening him for the journey ahead. Elijah traveled for 40 days and nights until he reached Mount Horeb, also known as Mount Sinai, the same mountain where God had given the 10 Commandments to Moses. There, in a cave, God spoke to Elijah, asking him why he was there. Elijah explained that he had been very zealous for the Lord, but now he was the only one left, and his enemies sought to kill him. God then revealed himself to Elijah, not in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. God reassured Elijah that he was not alone, that there were still 7,000 faithful Israelites who had not bowed down to Baal. God gave Elijah a new mission, to anoint Hazael as king over Aram, Jehu as king over Israel, and Elisha as his successor as prophet. Through these actions, God would bring judgment upon the house of Ahab and Jezebel for their wickedness. Elijah obeyed God's commands, anointing the new kings and calling Elisha to follow him. Elisha became Elijah's loyal companion and apprentice, learning from him and eventually inheriting his prophetic mantle. In the end, Elijah did not die but was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, accompanied by a chariot of fire and horses of fire. Elisha witnessed this miraculous event and received a double portion of Elijah's spirit, continuing the work of prophetic ministry in Israel. Elijah's story is one of faith, courage, and God's faithfulness. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, God is with us, providing for us and guiding us in His purposes.